He's looking absolutely, unequivocally natty. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be going over Tristan Lee's magnificent transformation. He did this by doing a 2-year bulk. I'm going to let you know whether or not I think he did it natural, and if he didn't, what I think he would have taken. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt. If Hussein Farhat can put on 45 pounds of muscle in 3 years and make his transformation, isn't it possible that Tristan Lee could do the same? After all, Tristan Lee was admittedly main gaining. He was taking way too many steps a day, doing too much cardio, burning too many calories off. He wasn't eating enough. He was following a carnivore diet. And so he most certainly was holding back his gains. By not eating enough calories, he was severely limiting his growth. And the question as to whether he's a lifetime natural or not, I mean, honestly, I think we have to assume that he's not. Prior to this transformation, I do believe he was significantly bigger. You can look at his before photos. You can see the size of him throughout his career. I mean, he's one of the most famous athletes in the world. This kid started at about 14 years of age, weighing, 90-something pounds. He was a soccer player, gifted athlete. And aside from his limited chest genetics, of which everyone seems to criticize him, everything about him is stupendous, other than his height. Bro's about 5'4". The height thing, it does play to his advantage. Shorter people don't need as much overall muscle tissue to look bigger. If you put on 10 pounds of muscle and you're 5 feet tall versus 10 pounds of muscle and you're 6 feet tall, the 5 foot tall person is going to look like they put on a lot more. It's as simple as that. In this transformation, it says 2-year bulk, May 2023 to May 2025. The first true bulk to diet thoughts. And so he's asking for our thoughts, and so, well, I'm going to make a freaking documentary about it. The first thing you need to know is that he started at 138 pounds. This is not a lot of weight. And in that photo, he's looking absolutely, unequivocally natty. I would bet a lot of money that in that photo, he was 100% natural. Now, prior to that, I would also bet a lot of money that he wasn't natural. I believe that Tristan Lee started natural, added in performance-enhancing drugs, SARM, steroids, and so on. I don't care what it is. Anavar, testosterone, it doesn't matter. Probably Masterone, probably Anavar, maybe some growth hormone. But that doesn't matter. We're talking about right now. And then he got off of that. He stopped. Because when an athlete as young as Tristan Lee starts training in the gym, every single year they're going to put on muscle. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. When you're a teenager, every single freaking year, you're going to put on muscle. I don't care if you train wrong. I don't care if you go to the gym 3 days a week, 7 days a week, if you overtrain. I don't care about any of it. You're continuously going to get bigger. Whether he maintained, bulked and cut, he would continue to put on muscle. And his choice, well, it was to maintain, but he admittedly did this at way too low of a body fat percentage. I mean, Tristan Lee arguably maintained a sub 5% body fat physique for years. He wasn't eating enough, and he talked about this openly, about his mental struggles, battles, demons, and so on. And to that, I'm proud of him for doing so. But one thing he has never admitted is whether or not he's on performance-enhancing drugs. Now, he said in the past that he's not, but notice in his bio, it doesn't say 100% natural, it doesn't say natural, it doesn't say lifetime natural, it has no mention of if he's natural or not. And what is it that people hate? They hate liars. Does Tristan Lee have to come out and say what he's taking? Absolutely not. We have no right forcing him to answer. That is his private business. Now, he's from Canada. He's not breaking any laws. And so what he chooses to do, it's his own business. But he said thoughts. Lots of people have an opinion. Some believe he's natural and some believe he's not. I personally believe that Hussein Farhat is more likely natural than Tristan Lee. And dare I say, may I go this far? I would bet money that Julian, the 18-year-old phenom, is more likely natural than Tristan Lee. If there was an implement pointed at my head and I had to say, pick one of the two. One is natural, one is not. I would bet on Julian. And remember, Julian is arguably the best natural in the world. If he is natural, he's probably the best. How many people think that Julian's natural? Almost none. I am more confident that Tristan Lee is not natural than even Julian. To Hussein, he's way more likely natural than both of these guys. Tristan Lee, I don't believe it for a second. Why is it that I think this? In the before photo, he looks totally natural. This is the physique of somebody who trained harder than last time for about 5 years in the gym. After 5 years, your newbie gains, they're very much gone. Most likely, you've already put on 2/3 of your growth potential. And what do I mean by that? I mean that in the first 5 years of your training, if your genetics had you capable of gaining, let's say, 60 pounds, you probably would have gained 40 of those, 40 out of 60. If you had lesser genetics and your natural genetic limit allows you to put on 30 pounds, you would have probably already put on 20. And if you have the most ridiculous genetics in the world and you could have put on 60 pounds of muscle, you probably would have already put on 60. The majority of your gains are going to be put on in the first 5 years in your training. And so if you can't put on muscle in the first 5 years, it likely isn't in the cards for you to put on a lot more muscle. And of course, there are some exceptions, athletes, and Tristan may in fact be an exception because after all, he started training younger than most people. He was only 14 and he was on a calorie restricted diet. If you are training while going through puberty and so on, well, obviously it doesn't apply to you. But for most people, if you start lifting weights as an adult, within the first 5 years, you're going to make the majority of your gains. Not saying after 5 years you can't gain anything. You still got about 1/3 left in the tank. But most of your gains, well, you've already gotten them. He goes on a bulk for 2 years. He hires Mike Israetel and Jared Feather. Clearly, they know what they're doing. They're going to tell him, look, you need to eat more food. Any smart coach who sees a Tristan Lee that's at 5% body fat or less is going to say, we need to put you on a bulk. I am all for main gaining, but not when you're at single-digit body fat. I think that for those individuals, it's smart to go into a calorie surplus, and not even a small one, a larger one, 500 calories for a guy like this. He adjusted his training under the guidance of Mike and Jared, and he packed on a lot of muscle. Now, while packing on a lot of muscle, it came with a little bit extra body fat, and so he bulked up to 177 pounds. It's about 40 pounds more than he is here, and so he bulked 40 pounds. This is a lot of a bulk for a guy who's 5'4", who starts at 137. 40 pounds, if you start at 250 and you're 6'3", it's not all that much. But when you're a shorter, smaller guy, it is in fact a lot. And so he bulked up, and it was hard to say exactly how much muscle he put on. He was 40 pounds, and it looks solid. But when you bulk up and you add in the glycogen stores, the water retention, and so on, it's not rock hard muscle. And so out of the 40 pounds, perhaps it was 30 pounds of muscle, but it wasn't quality muscle. I'm talking about hard-earned tissue, the kind that sticks with you for a while. Now, for example, if you're carb depleted on a ketogenic diet carnivore, you might gain 10 pounds of muscle in a week. And you're thinking, this is stupid. You can't gain 10 pounds of muscle a week. Get a DEXA scan on day 1 and analyze your lean body mass, and get one a week later after carbing up, consuming a lot of glycogen and filling out, and you might see you've got 10 pounds extra muscle. Now remember, muscle is mostly water. And so when you consume things like creatine, you can in fact gain a lot of muscle. You might gain 5 pounds of muscle, maybe even more, in a month while just using creatine. Now, I understand it's not lean muscle tissue, but it's still muscle, as in the water goes into the muscle and makes it look bigger. Get it? I know it's a debate people like to have. It's not muscle, it's lean tissue, but call it what you will. I'm trying to make this simple. So he goes up to 177 and then he cuts. Obviously, he's in a calorie deficit. And so for a while he was eating, I believe it was 500 or 800 calorie surplus. And then he cut down. In the end of this, I don't know, but I think he got leaner. It's possible that he's not leaner, but that he has so much more muscle that it looks leaner. Now, the more muscle you have, the leaner you're going to look, because the muscle, it pops out more. You can see more striations. I mean, if you're a 100-pound woman and you flex your quad, it's not going to pop out all that much. But if you're a 270-pound bodybuilder and you shake the legs and do the quad stomp like Jay Cutler, You're going to see all these lines and splits, and it's like, what am I even seeing? But without all that muscle, it's not going to look quite as striated. And so I'm just going to say, let's give him the exact same body fat percentage. And so he put on 19 pounds of muscle. He put on 19 pounds of muscle in 2 years. Now, if it was the first 2 years that he had ever trained in his life, if he walked into the gym on day one looking like he did in 2023, weighing 138, that would be his natural physique. And you showed me this and said he did this natural in 2 years, I would say I don't believe you. You thought I was going to say, yeah, you did it. Now, it's not because I don't think a guy could put on 19 pounds of muscle natural in 2 years with newbie gains. I absolutely think that many people could do. I think that it would actually be relatively common. But the muscle that Tristan Lee put on, it doesn't look like naturally accrued muscle. There's a different look to a natural physique's muscle than one that is enhanced. Now, for the average eye, you don't really know. You can't really tell. And so when I see athletes and I look at them, I have a good understanding of whether it was natural or enhanced. So, for example, when I see Hussein Farhat in person and I look at his skin, I look at his muscle, and I test his body fat, I see him flexing and so on, I'm like, it looks like natural muscle. But other times I see athletes who are even smaller than Hussein, far smaller. Hussein's 5'11", 181. And I'm like, that ain't natural. They might be 5'11", 160 pounds. I'm like, it ain't natural. I can tell. Now, can I always tell every single time? No. Sometimes I see somebody who's enhanced and I can't tell. But oftentimes I can. And in Tristan Lee's case, it's 100-to-1 odds minimum that he's enhanced in that second photo. It's possible that you could look like that natural, but almost every single physique in the world, I don't care if it's Tristan's or someone else, when you look like that, specifically that, you're probably not natural. And so you're thinking, well, what are you talking about? Okay, I'm going to give you some of the telltale signs, okay? The first thing is the color of the skin. Notice from the left and to the right, do you not see a slightly more reddish hue? I believe that this is indication that he's likely taking testosterone. He has increased red blood cell count, causing his skin to have a more reddish or perhaps even purplish appearance. Remember the genetic anomaly when I saw his physique and he was doing the most musculars and so on, and his skin was of a different color. We discussed that in that video. It doesn't look natural. And so although it's possible to build that muscle natural if you have the craziest genetics ever, that color of the skin combined with the muscle, it's not very likely. Look at his face. Did we not decide that he was roughly the same percentage body fat? I was trying to debate if he was a little bit lower. Look at the hollowness of the cheeks on the left versus the fullness of cheeks on the right. Look at the eyes. The eyes in the before appear to be more sunken in than that of the after. His face seems puffy. When you use performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, growth hormone, peptides, things that increase your IGF-1, oftentimes it comes with a puffier looking face. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I want you to look at some IFBB pros on stage. These guys are redonkulously shredded. I'm talking about 3 and 4% body fat, leaner than Tristan Lee. They are so lean. But yet, look at their faces. Some of them almost look like they're fat. Their faces are rounded. And some people say it's a moon face. It looks like they've taken D-ball. It's not just from D-ball, although that certainly can do it. I'm not trying to make fun of professional bodybuilders who have a rounder face, but it is in fact something that happens. And so I'll make fun of myself. Look at Coach Greg photos of myself in the past. Let's look at me years ago. Look at how round my face is. The curvature, the softness, it looks almost like I'm fat. I'm shredded. I have a six-pack. I'm in shape. I'm several weeks out from competition. But look at my face in comparison to now. Right now, when you look at my face, check it out, model. Do I look like I'm puffy? Do I look like I'm on high levels of testosterone, growth hormone, IGF, and so on? Or do I just look like a normal 48-year-old bro? I mean, I do have the proper tan, so it allows me to look a little bit leaner, but my face is not puffy as it once was. And why is that? Well, it's because I'm only on 140 milligrams of test a week. And if that test were even lowered, my face would look even leaner. Even smaller amounts of testosterone can cause your face to have some bloating. And so in the past, when I would do testosterone, it normally would be around 700 milligrams. And so you see the difference. Now, I admit it, I was abusing performance-enhancing drugs. It had significant changes to my face. When I look back at my face, I'm personally shocked. I look back and I'm thinking, I used to look like that. Personally, I think I look better now than 10 years ago, and I've aged. I'm older, but I think I look younger. It might be my own personal bias, but this is how I feel. And so when I look at Tristan Lee, it looks exactly like I would expect for somebody who's on performance-enhancing drugs. The face is rounder. There's more fullness. Look around the jaw. It appears to be rounder even to the sides. It doesn't have as much of a point. It just seems rounder and fuller. Do you see that, or is it just me? Do I have laser eyes? I mean, I know I can do this with body fat percentages, but when you look at his face, do you see the changes? I hope that you do. I'm just trying to educate. Not trying to put Tristan Lee down, not saying his face looked better in the past or right now. I'm just making observations. Just the side chest. Look at the face. Let's start from head to toe. When we look at the side chest, his hair appears to be shorter. Is it starting to recede? Does it seem that he's having some receding of the hairline right about here? He's doing the side chest. Is he starting to recede? Now, when you're on performance-enhancing drugs, mainly testosterone, DHT derivatives, and so on, it can speed up balding. It can. It's not bullshit. It can do this. It seems like his eyes literally have more puffiness on the right. They're more shallow to the left. The cheeks are fuller to the right. The jawline appears to be thicker in the after. There's definitely more fullness in the face. Next, the neck. It's significantly thicker. I wouldn't be surprised he's added in 1.5 or 2 inches to his neck size. Much thicker neck. Next, the pecs. I mean, they've added an inch. It's literally an inch thicker. People saying he has no chest genetics. I mean, perhaps they're not up to standards of the rest of his body, but man, what a difference. You can see deeper striations and they go longer towards the shoulders. Very good changes. The shoulders. I, without question, see more striations on the right than on the left. I mean, mind you, of course, it's significantly bigger, but there are more striations. He's drier. Think of it. We just said his face is more puffy. He's holding more water, but yet his shoulders appear drier. That can happen when you're using performance-enhancing drugs. You see these guys on stage, most musculars at the Olympia, they are bone dry. There's no water retention whatsoever, but their face. Their face have water, their shoulders, their quads, biceps, they don't have any. Notice the difference in the size of his arms, the biceps. He appears to be flexing them even more. The tricep size, everything is bigger. Now, let's look at his hands even. Do his hands, his fingers. Are his fingers possibly bigger? I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Is it possible that his bone density has increased? Perhaps he's now 1 in 500 million. Would he be the same as Brian Shaw? And the forearms. This is one of the telltale signs. Most people, they look at the traps. Oh, the traps, androgen receptors. And so if you have traps, oh, it means you're on steroids. I took steroids, and when I looked at my changes, the biggest change was in my quads and my lats. Noticeably, I was so much leaner in my calves, it was redonkulous. Right now, my calves are leaner by a mile than they were on stage when I was shredded, when I was natty. And so it changes you. And so one of the Telltale's arms, you got Popeye forearms, kind of like Flex Lewis. This guy's forearms are unreal. Now, Tristan Lee has so much more size on the forearms. I think perhaps even the bone density of the arms has increased. Perhaps he's on growth hormone. I would think it's very likely. Upper body wise, we're seeing significant changes. And if that doesn't cut it, look at the abs. He has greater abdominal development on the side. I see more striations, the cords. And so his obliques are more visible. And so basically every single muscle I see on the right is leaner than that on the left, while at the same time having a puffier face. Next, unfortunately, he's wearing shorts covering the legs. It would have been great for me to compare the quad size, the hamstrings, the calves, and so on. But I bet his legs are even leaner. And I'm certain he's grown a lot of muscle, the gluteus maximus, medius, minimus. I'm sure everything has gotten bigger. And so I'm not certain if he's taking growth hormone or not, but one of the dangers of taking growth hormone, in particular in higher doses, is acromegaly. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But over time, your bones get bigger. You can get a bigger forehead. You can get gaps in your teeth and your jaw grows and so on. And so this is a real danger of abusing growth hormone. It's not something that I would suggest. Even when I was a professional bodybuilder, I rarely used growth hormone. I used it occasionally, I'm not going to lie, but rarely, and only for perhaps 3 separate cycles. Not very much. Let me read some of the comments regarding this. Greg is already making a video. Got me. Bro is probably the thickest natty I've ever seen. That ain't nat, my man. How you know? Use your eyes, that's how. I mean, I honestly think that there's more likely a chance that Julian, who's way bigger than Tristan Lee, by a mile, like twice as big, is natural compared to Tristan Lee. And it's because of the appearance of the muscles as well as his face. You're just thinking, oh, it's how many pounds he put on and his age and all of these things. I mean, I'll add in this. Tristan Lee has never shown his blood work, and if he cared about proving that he's natural, which he doesn't need to, I mean, I know you might say, oh, it's not like yet. I know this, but if he cared, he would get blood work and he would show it. He would show his testosterone levels. He would show his blood work. Is his LH and FSH in the toilet? What is going on? And so a guy like Hussein, who in the last 6 or 7 months has gotten his blood work twice, I mean, guys like that are more likely natural because they have the receipts. Tristan has no receipts in 5 years. He could have gotten his blood work once. Just for his own sake, he probably should be getting blood work. I mean, wouldn't you want to see the difference between being carnivore and eating carbs? Did it improve his health? Is he in fact healthier? What about his cholesterol? I would love to know what happened. Wouldn't you all like to know? Did adding in carbs boost his testosterone? He doesn't do that. And he's very famous, 2+ million followers. And so imagine how much he could educate people. And he wants to educate people. He's doing his best to educate the world. He does great videos, but he's not showing his blood work. And so that's one aspect of him that he could improve on, being very much proactive with his health, talking to people about the fact he got his blood work done, that he's being careful, that he's trying to mitigate the side effects and so on. That would be great content. Sauced to the gills. I think that honestly, he could probably have made this transformation without abusing performance enhancing drugs. Do I think he could have done it natural? Absolutely not. I really don't. I mean, and it's not because he put on 19 pounds of muscle. It's not because of any of that. It's because of the fact it's 19 pounds and the fact that I don't believe he was natural in the past, and the fact that he hired Jared Feather and Mike Israetel, and the fact that he doesn't put natural in his profile, the fact he's never posted blood work, and the puffiness of the face as well as the condition of the skin. You all think it's just, oh, it's one thing, and you pick one thing and you comment about it and you say, Coach Greg is wrong. You don't know how much work I put into these analyses. I'm trying to do my best to give you my educated opinion onto whether or not there's greater than a 50% chance that I'm right. If I were a betting man, all I have to do is be right more times than I'm wrong. I'm going to be rich. And so most of the time I'm right. Is it possible that I'm wrong? Yes. I don't know, 1 out of 50 times I probably get it wrong, maybe even 1 out of 10. Still, 9 out of 10 times is pretty freaking good. Imagine if 9 out of 10 stocks that I invest in always go up. I would probably be a billionaire by this time. Bigger and more shredded. Speaks volumes. Natty to enhanced. I think that is an amazing title. If Tristan Lee had titled Natty to enhanced, I mean, that would have blown the internet. Good cycle and amazing work in the gym. I mean, that is very specific and very accurate. I believe that it's a fairly decent cycle, not exceptionally abusive. It's not like, oh my God, he's blasting trend, but a good cycle and amazing work ethic. And in 2 years, this is the kind of transformation that you can make with performance enhancing drugs. Not without, with. Definitely up the dose. Skin color is glowing hot pink. Yeah, they noticed it. See, I'm not the only one. There are other people that are very observant. There's likely many people out there much better at doing natty or nots at Coach Greg. They just don't do them. There are extremely knowledgeable people out in the world. Why would I think that I know more than every other person in existence? I do not. I'm just perhaps more well known. And so a lot of people write comments and I read them and I'm like, that person is very intelligent and they know what they're saying, especially when reading blood work. They'll write comments and be like, this guy is lying about being natural because he just posted his blood work and I see this. I see LH here and FSH here and I see this and I see that, and they put all the pieces together and I'm like, you know what you're doing. Other people know, oh, he probably just swished Tren mixed with vodka because Derek said it once, and oh, I watched Vigorous Steve once and he said that anyone can beat a drug test, it's easy. Oh, somebody else's blood where he probably didn't get the blood where he paid off the doctor. This is the things that people say, but they can't just look at the blood work and be like, I gotcha. I think that summarizes everything. I most certainly would wish that Tristan Lee was using Turk Builder Max well as GO2 Max. Why not? Or perhaps if he's interested in coming off testosterone, he could use G-Test Platinum. This is the best one I got. And science, well, it shows that it's not the test boosters of old, that you could actually boost your testosterone by up to 200 nanograms per deciliter. And that is, in fact, significant. It's not 10 or 20 points. It's enough to make a difference. Now, if you are on steroids and you come off, you're probably going to have a hard time getting harder than last time. And so, of course, you can get this. And I've also got my favorite Charmuta, the Blue Lobster Crab and the Blue Lobster. And they've combined to form the Blue Lobster pre-workout. And so it's got solidaricide. It's going to make you feel better than ever. This is my favorite. It's freaking amazing. Better than all the other pre-workouts. This is the one that I go for, the one that I like the most. And so if you're interested in all of these, you can get them by using code Greg, 15% off, clicking the link in the description. And if you want to work with Coach Greg, with me, literally me, you can apply by clicking the link in the description. You get FaceTime with Coach Greg, me, on Sunday at 2 o'clock. I'm literally doing a FaceTime with my team of people that I'm coaching. Now, you also get unlimited texting. You have weekly check-ins, and you have the training program as well as the diet, and it's updated whenever you need it and so on. Now, if you can't afford that, you can, of course, get the freaking cookbook and the Circle Diet book, My Life's Work. How to lose weight, keep it off for the rest of your life. I mean, this book is amazing. It might take you 6 hours to read. The cookbook, you will not see another cookbook like this. This is the best cookbook in the world for people that are trying to lose weight because the meals are massive and they have low calories. And I'm telling you, I'm going to a birthday pool party tomorrow. It's 11:30 right now. Tomorrow's the pool party. They're like, Greg, you got to bring the protein pumpkin squares. You got to bring those blueberry muffins. These are partiers. They're not trying to eat healthy. They don't give a shit. Everyone else is bringing chips and big Turk chocolate and candies and all kinds of stuff. You know, the burgers and stuff. And people are getting Blue Lobstered all over the place. Now, they want my stuff because we have house parties and stuff at my house, and they can't believe how good the food is. It's from the cookbook. These are people that just eat normal food. They don't know it's got all the extra protein and it's got half the calories, more fiber, but they're like, you gots to bring those. I shit you not, this is the truth. And so if you want the best cookbook, my opinion, in the world, remember, for people who are trying to lose weight, get the cookbook, code Greg, 15% off. Subscribe, click the bell button. Hopefully you learned something from this. We learned from Tristan Lee. Remember, I'm not trying to put him down. I just don't believe that he's natural. Watch one of these 2 bloops, subscribe to the channel, and become a bell button subscriber. It means you get notified all the time. Subscribe, press the button right now. And until next time, I am out.